So, not going to lie, I was worried upon seeing the Rotten Tomatoes critic score for Eternals, and the early reviews mostly hailing it as Marvel's worst picture yet. Walking in the cinema with a low expectation, I was actually pleasantly surprised by how it turned out. Without a doubt, this film is a huge deviant from every single Marvel entry that has come beforehand. It has a vastly different tone, a lot of historical and cultural flavor. It's visually really grim and grounded despite the intergalactic scale. I will admit, judging from the story perspective, Eternals seems to bite off more than it can chew. The first Avengers film features only 6 superheroes and a leader, after having 5 solo hero films to set up the key characters. Eternals features 9 superheroes and a leader. It has to establish each character and tell the story of them disassembling before reassembling again 500 years later to save the planet. So yes, the large cast and the complex narrative doesn't allow for a deep exploration of every character. But to me, I wouldn't necessarily consider this as a mistake on Marvel's end just to quickly establish the Phase 4 superheroes. Rather, I think it's worthy to study and understand Eternals within the filmography of Chloe Zhao and her major influence, Terrence Malick. Because the primary focus of Eternals isn't the story or even characters, it's the world. Chloe Zhao has always mentioned in interviews that her primary interest in signing on a Marvel film is world building.
Is the world first, character, and then story. All the other sensibility is how you treat the world, the details and intimacy of the world. Everything else, that's secondary.
In Chloe's first 3 films, she featured 3 groups of very representative communities at the bottom of the North America society: the indigenous, the cowboys, and the nomads, all of whom are marginalized or even forgotten in the rapid development of the modern society. And it's the world of the American West that drew her to these stories. The Eternals seem to combine the characteristics of all these 3 groups together. They are indigenous to the planet since prehistory, they possess the courage and individual heroism of cowboys, and they wander around the world like nomads. As a Chinese immigrant who said that she grew up feeling like an outsider and drifted around too much to ever feel attached to a place, Chloe Zhao's characters understand exactly how transient everything can be. These characters have a complex bond with their land and community, often caught in between the nostalgia of the hometown and pursuit of the unknown. Yet even when they try to leave their motherland behind, they continue to carry tokens of the world they have abandoned, which shaped their identities. The most dominant influence Chloe Zhao has inherited from Terrence Malick is this acute awareness of how humanity and nature dissolve into each other. Because essentially, we are the places that we inhabit. In Eternals, the entire world looks like an empty field. The human population have no sovereignty over nature, but are always living under the wider context of it, no different from any other species in the wilderness. In Malick's films, nature always has the dual qualities of being tranquil and harmonious, while simultaneously harsh and unforgiving. The idyllic beauty of sweeping landscapes is often punctuated by violent acts. The paradise is inseparable from the paradise lost. Yet, the gravity of those dramatic life and death moments is always understated, because the nature makes no moral judgment. It's indifferent to the human chaos and tragedy. And in the case of Eternals, even the destruction of an entire planet, since the never-ending cycle of life will always end up achieving its own sense of equilibrium. As Chloe Zhao's debut feature Songs My Brothers Taught Me has quoted, "Anything that runs wild got something bad in him. You want to leave some of that in there, because they need it to survive out there." When we look at the Eternals from this perspective, their principle of non-interference will start to make more sense beyond just an instruction given by Kevin Feige. Because even the immortals may feel insignificant and powerless against the laws of nature, that their interventions will be futile in changing their destiny. Eternals may be criticized for feeling emotionally hollow or having a slow and meandering story, but the criticism it received has been pretty similar to the ones that have circulated around Malick's work since the beginning of his filmography. They say that Malick cannot tell a story, his films are overly indulgent, his protagonists are passive and lack motivational clarity. In The Thin Red Line, Malick also featured too many main characters that we can't really explore each of them deeply. Because unlike most films about World War II, The Thin Red Line is not concerned with the defense of any political and cultural values, or the nostalgic exhibition of any personal heroism, but it meditates on the meaning of war for all involved. Malick's perspective may seem impersonal and removed, but by deconstructing genres and destabilizing genre assumptions, he's really aiming to tell events in a way that's meant to feel timeless. Just like Malick's films, there are images and events in Eternals featuring the ruination of human civilization that are also biblical in nature. By inserting the legend of the Eternals in important moments of real history, it also reflects on the encroachment of industrialization and mechanization, asking us whether the advancement of technologies also brings us more wars. Through the eyes of these immortals who survived across centuries, we get to contemplate on conflicts that are as old as time itself. By building such an elaborate world with intricate tone and textures, what Eternals does is using this world as a lyrical canvas to explore worldviews. On her Instagram, Chloe Zhao has shared a photo of the poster for The Tree of Life, the Palme d'Or winner by Terrence Malick, and how this film inspired her crew on making Eternals. Because Eternals poses a timeless philosophical question that's very similar to the one in The Tree of Life. By juxtaposing an intimate personal drama against the millennia-spanning epic of the universe creation, The Tree of Life presents two ways of life: the way of nature embodied by Mr. O'Brien, and the way of grace embodied by Mrs. O'Brien. So, should a person live by the brutal and uncaring way of nature, or the selfless and spiritualist way of grace? Malick's central protagonists are often characterized by this dilemma to choose between having faith in moral values and nihilism. They struggle to preserve meaning and question the possibility of redemption in an evil world. Yet they also have an Edenic yearning to recapture a lost wholeness of being, a state of integration with the natural and the good, both within themselves and the world. Eternals is also about the conflict between these two opposite worldviews. Some of them subscribe to the archaic, violent, but natural way of evolution for the greater good, while the others are emotionally attached to the Earthlings and perceive lives through a humane, benevolent perspective. This leads to the key reason why Eternals couldn't appeal to the general audience. The film lacks the thorough sense of danger and urgency. Rather, it feels more like an observational and dialogue-heavy play. The central focus of the film is this battle of belief system, where the characters ruminate upon existential questions. Chloe Zhao's answer to this clash of worldviews is similar to the ones by Malick. As insignificant as we are considering our place in the cosmos, as much as we can never really understand the working of the universe, we can still choose the way of grace. Chloe has mentioned in interviews that she's drawn to themes about quest for the unknown, something that's beyond the horizon, or of a higher dimension beyond the human flesh and condition. That's why she's drawn to Malick's films, which explores the mythic and the metaphysical, and films like 2001: A Space Odyssey, which also has visible influence on the minimalistic design of the Eternal spaceship. In contrast to most of the critics' opinions, I left the cinema of Eternals thrilled at Marvel's new direction for universe expansion in Phase 4 as they venture into the unknown. Shang-Chi is taking us to a mythological China, Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, and Scarlet Witch are heading to the multiverse. Loki is lost in a different branch of time. Thor and Guardians of the Galaxy will continue to thrive in space. As Marvel is expanding their world, they are also expanding their worldview. And that's precisely what Eternals did. Terrence Malick, being one of the rare modern filmmakers who fuses critical distance and humanitarian empathy in his work, has influenced Chloe Zhao to make a piece of mass entertainment that does the same. Eternals is the largest perspective of looking at humanity that Marvel has ever taken yet, but it concludes with a simple message, which is a message that Chloe Zhao has stated in her Oscar speech when she won the Best Director award for Nomadland.
It's called The Three Character Classics, and the first phrase goes, 人之初，性本善. People at birth are inherently good, and I still truly believe them today. Even though sometimes it might seem like the opposite is true, but I have always found goodness in the people I met everywhere I went in the world. And this is for you. You inspire me to keep going. Thank you.
Hey guys, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, consider to like, share, and subscribe, and maybe consider supporting the channel on Patreon. I actually watched Eternals the first day it came out in Singapore, which was on November the 4th, but the video still took a really long time to make, because I was trying to finish reading this book, The Cinema of Terrence Malick, to really try to understand his influence on Chloe Zhao more deeply. So I'm making it part of my Patreon reward to share the script and the elaborate research notes for every episode that I'm doing. So look for that on my Patreon. And if you have any question about this video or the making of this video, leave them in the comments below. Thanks guys, I'll see you next time.